What's up, YouTube? It's Gmo here, bringing you a new video on a topic that's really been covered pretty well, but I kind of wanted to go over it as well and just talk about my thoughts, potentially hear your guys' thoughts. I think most of the community is about on the same page on most of the issues with the membership. Just a heads up, this will be a ramble style video, so sorry if I get off track here and there. And also, sorry if you hear my dogs, they are playing in the other room and I have hardwood floors, so their claws might be clicking off the floor. Uh, to start off, I would like to think that Jagex probably had very little say in this. It's probably pressure from their investors and the firm that actually owns Jagex to try to increase monetization. And Jagex is probably taking the brunt of the backlash for this. You can see here, I'm sure you guys have seen these videos of them describing the different options. He does not look like he is happy to be the one that has to deliver this information to fellow RuneScape players. He looks like he just truly doesn't believe in what they are trying to convey. And they also did go back on that on this a little bit. We'll get into that later on in the video. But here first, they have different RuneScape membership tiers and prices. Uh, some of them have improved data access, pause your membership option, which I think most people would just cancel their membership if they're not going to play. But if you're in the middle of a cycle or something and you don't want your money to go to waste, I guess it could be beneficial for you to just pause your membership for however long you're taking a break. The complimentary bond, I was thinking about it and I almost wonder if they're trying to get the price of bonds down, or if that would be their intentions with the bonds, because everyone would get a bond and it'd kind of help flood the market, or at least everyone in this tier. Um, that is expensive though, $30 a month, even with pre-verified account recovery and character name reservations. Um, Something to go on to that is Jagex could do all of this for the right price. They don't necessarily uh, want to do it unless they're going to make money, because it would take work. And I'm sure that if they increase the price of membership just a little bit to ensure some of these things, such as the pre-verified account recovery or the character name reservations, players would probably be happy to pay an extra couple dollars a month. To add on to that, though, the price of membership for old school RuneScape and RuneScape 3 has been climbing quite a bit the past few years. I think it was just last year, that they increased the price by a couple dollars. Uh, but World of Warcraft hasn't changed their pricing in 20 years. World of Warcraft is still $15 a month 20 years later, and I know that they have a $60 expansion every year and a half, 2 years that you pay for that helps with the monetization, and they definitely have a little bit more egregious monetization with microtransactions. But RuneScape 3's microtransactions are a complete nightmare for the community. There's people who spend tons of money. A friend did a video years ago where he spent like $10,000 or $20,000 to max an account without ever actually playing it. We'll go down here. Now, ads. I don't know what they would do with ads. I don't think they would put them in the game. Let me see if I can bring something up. Years ago, the game was a browser game, and there were ads outside of the browser around the website. Here we go. This is decent snippet here. But there were, on the browser, there were ads that were kind of around the outside of the game. So I almost wonder if that's what they would do with the ads. something similar to how it was back in 2005 and whatnot. Here's another one. There's some ads outside of the main page of RuneScape. I don't think they would do that. There might be. I have ad blocker, so there might already be ads on the outside of RuneScape on the homepage. But I would think that if they were going to put ads in the game, it would be similar to the last picture, where it would just be outside of the game and not like some annoying pop-up where you have to click it like you're fighting Vordorvis, maybe. I think that's the desert treasure boss that has the clicking mini game in the middle of it. But I would think they'd do something like this if they did the ads. We'll get to that later. And I will say this tier here might be good for players who play tons of different accounts. A lot of people play multiple accounts at once. So if they were to bundle membership characters and give you a little bit of a discount, I think that would be a good option. Or people who have a main account in Iron Man, Ultimate Iron Man, or if you're EVscape and you play 12 accounts at once to boost different mini games, that would be pretty good. And I think it makes sense. There's no reason we should all be paying, what is it, $12.99, $13.99 a month, somewhere around there, for every single character we want to play. They're already making money off of bonds as well. But bundling multiple characters, we have the Jagex launcher. Our characters are already bundled together and into one account, so they might as well, it would make sense to let us bundle multiple memberships together into one for a cheaper price, even if it is still like $9 per character or $12 per character, whatever it may be. I think I'm not entirely sure what this is. I think it's just different pricing options for it. Yeah, these are all about the same, just different pricing options, it looks like. We will continue on down, see if we see anything new. Oh, this right here, mobile only access. I would not pay $12.50 a month to play a character on mobile only. No, nobody would. There's very few people who actually play mobile only. For me, like, I AFK on mobile, and I'm sure most people do. There's not many people out there that are going to go do General Grardor on mobile. There's just not. There's not very many people who are going to try to boss or do any content that requires click-intensive activities. Absolutely nobody is going to be doing the Inferno on mobile only. This is just a ridiculous proposal here. It's honestly egregious is the best word that I can describe it. This right here, interesting, Community Worlds, Project Zenaris. I could see them having to increase the cost of membership if you wanted to access Community Worlds. Even if it is just a couple dollars, they are still going to be the ones paying for the server space. That's kind of expected, really. I think a lot of people would be okay with this, as long as you could play normally for the normal price, pay a couple extra dollars a month to be able to access the Community Worlds. I think players would be able, they would be cool with that. I think they'd be all right with that, as long as it's not $25 a month whenever we're already paying $12 or $13 a month. I think a lot of players would be all right with that. It gives you the option. You're not paying extra if you're not using a certain service. We'll keep going down, see if we can find anything else. Most of these I think these are just all different pricing options. I didn't get the survey, but I think these are just different pricing options for what they want to do. And let's be honest, Jagex, they make plenty of money. There's so many people playing this game. The last time they were traded was in 2024 February, and they were sold for $910 million. They're fine. They don't need to be continuously increasing the price of membership or going through with things like this. And I truly believe that with the way they handled old school RuneScape, they have learned to not piss off 90% of their player base, because we will quit. Players will quit. A lot of players will quit. I might not quit. You might not quit. But a lot of players will quit if some of these updates go in. And I think Jagex has learned from their mistake on this. And old school RuneScape especially, you make an update that everybody hates, everybody's going to quit. I know I quit back in the pre-EOC days. I actually kind of quit playing back in... I quit in pre-EOC. I really hated the graphics update, but I know a lot of people, most of the people quit as soon as EOC was released. Nobody wanted it. And it was completely game-changing for RuneScape, and this changes the game as well. This here, shorter AFK timers, people would definitely be pretty upset about. This game is a very idle game for some activities. People like the AFK timers. People like going AFK. I know with RuneLite and the 25-minute AFK timer, I like to be able to get up, go let my dogs out, feed my dogs, feed my cats, play with my dogs for a few minutes, whatever I'm doing, talk to my girlfriend. I enjoy that, and then coming back and still being logged in. It's not hard to log back in anymore with the Jagex launcher. You just click a button. But it's still a little bit irritating that they would want to shorten the AFK timers. Now, I don't know if this would be like your idle time, like if you're just bank standing, or if this would be your AFK time to cut woods or redwoods or whatever. But they just released an update with forestry last year to help with longer AFK times and more consistent AFK times. So that would make a lot of people mad. That would make me mad. I do most of my activities AFK or semi AFK. Part of why it takes me so long to max. It's been a 10-year process now, at least. I know there's another egregious one that they proposed, but I can't remember what it is, and I don't see it in here. But a lot of people are pretty upset about this. So $349 for an additional member character, that's a steal. That is a very good deal. That is a great deal to have 2 membership accounts. A lot of people are already playing, like I said, they're paying $12, $13 a month for a character, and there's multiple of these characters. So I think a lot of people would be cool with that. To move on, though, Jagex went back on their word, and I haven't seen anything on this, heard anything on this, so we're going to go through it together. Intended to test a broader range of features around subscriptions. Makes sense, Most of these features should be mandatory in your standard membership, though. Major misadjustment to include features we suggested would consider degrading the game, such as in-game ads and shorter AFK timers. Yeah, most people are not going to be happy about either one of those, and it's just such an out-of-touch idea that it almost makes you think that it was not Jagex that made this. And I have heard that it was a third party that created the survey. That being said, though, someone at Jagex needs to look at it at least. There's absolutely no way that Jagex looked at that and said, this will work. They'll be happy about all this. This is cool. Just a ridiculous idea to do some of these things, especially the account security stuff. That stuff should be mandatory. That stuff should be just part of the game. That should be what we are paying for. There's there's talk about them rolling back characters if you get hacked, so they're taking snapshots of your character every time you log out. Like, that should just be part of the game. There's a reason that they do that. And I remember, give me one moment. I remember back in World of Warcraft Kata, the original one, I got hacked. I don't know how I got hacked, but I got hacked. And I couldn't get into my character. And my character was used to bot on. It got hacked and then banned. Blizzard recovered my character. And whenever I got back into my account, I had all of my items back in the mail, and I had all of my gold back to where it was. It was the same amount of gold I had the last time I logged off. It was the same items. I don't know if they rolled back my level to where I was, and I want to say that they reset one of my skills potentially back to where it was. I know that they used my account to bot mining because I did have mining on that character. But that was technology from 15 years ago. I think Kata was around 2010. And I know Blizzard is a much bigger company and entity than Jagex is. But if Blizzard could do it 15 years ago with World of Warcraft, Jagex can do it now. And that bot sold all my gear to just milk every last bit of gold that I had before muling it. And I got my gear mailed back to me. Even my gear that was untradeable, my items, everything was mailed back to me. So we're going to continue here. This was originally tested in context of a lower cost ad-supported membership. Nobody wants ads. Absolutely nobody. If they're at the top of the screen or whatever, and it's free to play, cool. That's how it was 20 years ago. So they're saying we will not include in-game advertisements in any regular paid membership. While we may explore ads in free-to-play as a concept in the future, there are no plans for this. That was a thing 20 years ago. The player base probably won't mind it, especially the older player base that actually remembers this specific thing already being a thing. I don't know how they're going to do it, though. If they put them in the game, that is a problem. That is a huge problem. There's been some really good memes about it that I've seen. But if they're on the border outside the game, whatever, cool. So, that reminds me, they were wanting to charge for something like third-party plugins that we already have for free with RuneLite. They wanted to charge for something that the player base had for free. I understand if they want to put it in their own launcher, if they really want to try and make people pay a higher membership tier for the players that don't use RuneLite, go for it. It's just going to push people away from using that launcher to begin with. Not many people aren't already using RuneLite, and the people that aren't, if they had to pay to use some of the features that are already in the base game, because I know they have been adding the features from RuneLite, some of the major ones, into the Jagex launcher, the normal launcher, not the RuneLite one, people would be pissed, and they would quit using it, and then the rest of them would just slowly trickle down back to RuneLite. Like, it's just a dumb idea. I don't know if they were going to try to make people pay to use RuneLite, though. That would be a problem because it's free. There's no reason the players should be paying to use something that is already free. That's ridiculous. Okay, so this is a little interesting on how this is worded. Lower cost of membership option, but we will not be reducing AFK timers on any paid memberships from where they are today. So that leaves the door open for them to reduce AFK timers for free to play players, which is just kind of scummy. Um, I don't really think that you should be getting a different experience on the game just because you're free to play. Like in-game experience ads, put them outside the game. Cool. Do it. Do whatever you want with them. Just don't put them in the game. But reducing or changing how the game plays because you're not paying to play the game is interesting and just scummy. Player support, you wanted improved player support that would not require additional charges. We agree. You've given us deep feedback on this, including in recent player support survey. We understand the frustrations players have with the existing system. Any doubt you might have, we're already making positive changes on the front. We want to ensure our baseline support offering meets expectations. I haven't really had to use any sort of Jagex support, but I've heard a lot of horror stories about it, and I've seen a lot on Facebook. That being said, though, I think the ones on Facebook are probably people who bought it or were hacking, and they ended up getting banned, and their ban was rightfully so. So I don't know how true some of them horror stories are. I haven't ever experienced it, but I have heard some horror stories. Same thing here with the paid membership. We will never degrade or fundamentally change the gameplay experience on offers between subscribers. So if you're not subscribed, that leaves the door open for them to do whatever they want with free to play, which I think most of the player base at this point is, it's got to be like 80% members at this point. There's definitely some pop and free to play worlds, but 20 years ago, most players were free to play. 20 years later, most players are members. Shouldn't be too big of a problem for your majority player base, but for the minority player base that doesn't pay, that could turn into some serious shit pretty quick. They can really ruin the free-to-play experience, which would be a huge problem for the longevity of the game. I don't think... I would say it'd be a problem for sure because you need new players. Not many people are going to give MMOs a shot if they have to pay a membership straight out the gate. I'm sure some people will. There's a lot of people who played WoW Classic whenever it released that probably never played WoW Classic. I know a couple people at work that actually they started playing WoW Classic, never played the game as a kid, never played any of World of Warcraft as an adult. So maybe people would pay just to get rid of those features that they could potentially change, such as AFK timers, ads, so on and so forth. But that could really cause shit to hit the fan. If you don't have your new players that are free to play that eventually switch over to membership because they like the game, that could spell disaster for the longevity of the game. Moving forward, we will take more time to reflect on how we explore topics like this. So just a side note on this one, it was just a survey. It wasn't definite changes. That being said, if we didn't have the backlash we had, they would, and they thought they could get away with it, they would definitely push this update. So, good job, honestly, to the entire community for speaking out. I want to say that this post came out the next day after the original idea was proposed. So good job on just the community, the strongest part of the game, for speaking their mind on what they thought of this. It was so underhanded. The update made no sense. The idea of the update, um, it's just bad. It's bad for the game. It's bad for the players. It's bad for the mods, because if you look at the video, this, I think that was that mod Pip in the video. He just looks so dead. He looks so upset, and his voice is so monotoned through most of it that you can tell the mods themselves do not like this. Okay, let's continue. Powerful reminder of what is most important about RuneScape. Yeah, I think most of the J mods are pretty in touch with what RuneScape is all about. I truly do. I don't think that this was their idea. I think that was coming from their owners. I believe the last membership hike happened shortly after they were purchased as well. They were purchased in February of last year. I'm not entirely sure when they increased membership last, but I believe it was last year. Valuable insight about not just about subscriptions. I think it gives them some pretty good insight about subscriptions, though. Like I said, if I was playing 2 accounts at once, I would much rather pay $3.50 for a second character than pay $12 for a second character that I'm just going to have doing AFK stuff or whatever while I play on my main, or have my main doing AFK stuff while playing on the other account. But also into the concerns that arise when the topics aren't handled with sufficient care. Yeah, this was not handled very well. I will say Jagex's response, they handled it very well. They handled it very quickly. They do have a pretty good response, and I wouldn't necessarily... It's kind of corporate, not super corporate, though. There's no, like, lawyer speak in here. But they do put some loopholes in here, such as the AFK timers that we discussed a minute ago. So let's continue. Any future proposals will be crafted with greater care and greater consideration to ensure they align with the feedback we've received and values that define our community. Yeah, don't outsource a membership survey. I'm not sure if that is true that they did, but that is just what I have heard from Reddit. Reddit, yes. Reddit, the most reliable news source. But that is what I've heard from a couple different people, is that the survey was outsourced. That being said, Jagex needs to look at the survey. They can adjust the survey if they so choose, I'm sure, unless there's some weird thing in the contract with the company that they outsourced it with. They know the community values. If they took any care with this survey, they should have went through it and been like, okay, the players are gonna hate this. We should not put this, we should not even try to put this in the game. We should not even try to push this update. This is ridiculous. The players are gonna hate it. The players will quit. They've already quit once. We've already lost the entire community once. And I think Jagex knows that. I really do. I don't think that... I think in the future, if they want to propose some membership changes, sure, go ahead. But at least let the people at Jagex look at it and discuss it before just pushing a giant spaghetti code pile of dog shit idea. Like this. This is so bad. It's so bad. Most of these features should just be part of your membership. And the best part about this thread, the only way to describe it, that. Lol. There's no way to describe it other than to just kind of laugh about it. Now, if this did go through, we would not be laughing. But this is the best way to describe it. It's such a fucking joke. And I'm sorry to use that language, but it's a joke. It's a complete joke. It's a mess. And it does not value anything about the community at all. Above all, we remain committed to protecting the core principles of our game. That's probably why the update's not going to go through. The survey was intended as a way to get feedback, but we recognize that it caused concern and undermined your trust. Yeah, it definitely hit the community in a big way. And I know some people don't even trust this post, the final notes, and the update on the situation. I think Jagex knows better. I think they know better than to go through with at least a good chunk of what they were proposing. That being said, though, I think they're still gonna push some of this stuff, like ads in free to play. Probably gonna be a thing. It's already been there once. As long as it's not in the game, as long as it's not taking away from the gameplay experience, as long as it doesn't make you halt your activity like a goddamn random event popping up back in 2005, where if you didn't do your random event, you just get slaughtered. I want to assure you that we deeply care about the game and the passionate community that makes them thrive. Yeah, the community is fantastic. I don't think they'd be doing live streams. They wouldn't do weekly live streams talking about what they like and taking player feedback. And there's so many updates that have come into the game just because they value their community. Sorry, the dogs are playing. And they are actually listening. Whenever they do those live streams, they have thousands of people watching. They're not going to be able to listen to everyone and read every single idea in an hour. But they do care about the community. There's a reason that everything gets pulled. Which is, one, they care, but two, they know that if they put something stupid in like this, which probably wouldn't get pulled, but if they put something stupid in the game, like EOC, without people being pulled on it, it would kill the game again. From the start, we aim to consult you on what you value most. While this has undoubtedly been a challenging few days for everyone, the process has achieved its core purpose to gather honest, unfiltered feedback. Yeah, the feedback's been pretty unfiltered. People are not happy. Even if it was just a survey, like I said, if there wasn't an extreme amount of backlash, if there were a couple people upset and that was it, they'd do it. They would do it. They would do one of these many monetization options that they listed here. They would do one of them for sure if the community didn't just explode or implode, I guess, about it. So yeah, it achieved the purpose, and the feedback was rather unfiltered. This kind of transparency and collaboration is at the heart of what makes our game so special. Yeah, for sure. Like I just said, Jagex cares. They do. Their overlords that own them might not give a shit about the game and just see dollar signs and whatnot because they're investors and whatever. But Jagex truly does care about this game. I believe. I want to say in the pre-EOC days, whenever they did that update, I want to say that was after they got bought out the first time. I could be wrong on that. And I know RuneScape was trying to be more in line with other MMOs at the time, but I almost wonder how much of that was the Chinese company that purchased them and said, hey, this needs to change. We need to make more money. But yeah, the community collaborating with the JMods is what makes this game so special. I know Jagex ultimately decides what happens and what doesn't happen at the end of the day, and what gets pulled and what doesn't get pulled at the end of the day. But they work with the community. They would not be all over Reddit like this JMod reply. Like, they wouldn't be on Reddit replying. They wouldn't be on Twitter answering your questions. Mod Ash wouldn't be answering some obscure question about an eel's drop rate or something being potentially bugged. Like, they do care. RuneScape is a game shaped by its community. Yeah, for sure. Voices remain central to every decision we make. Yeah, for the most part, there's not very much stuff that gets pushed into the game besides like membership changes, and there's a couple small things that get pushed in and without being pulled, but most, like 99% of updates are pulled. The stuff that isn't is generally just bug fixes and whatnot. The Nail Beast one is kind of funny though, because that did get pulled and it got voted no. That sound is horrible, and the players just love it for whatever reason. Everyone knows it's horrible and it just makes you laugh. While we recognize that mistakes were made here, the fact that we've received such strong and clear feedback reinforces how deeply you care about this game. Yeah, for sure. The whole RuneScape community exploded. I'm sure there were some cannons in Falador somewhere in some worlds and people just rioting at some point or another. Just cannons spinning around and full-blown riot. RuneScape thrives because of its community. Yeah, you guys already said that. We've been over this. And we fully remain committed in our mission to deepen how we work with players at every level. Yeah, I agree. They do a good job. They do much better than most other games, really, with working with their community. Thank you for your passion and feedback that drives us to do better every day. Mod Pip. Okay, that's the end of that. I don't really have any final notes. I think they handled this pretty well. I'm sorry my dogs are barking right now. I think the mailman's probably here. I think they handled the feedback very well. There's still loopholes in this that they can slip through and say, well, we didn't say we wouldn't do this with free-to-play. But I think they handled it very well. That survey is just still baffling to me. I think it came out like 4 days ago or something like that, and it's just baffling that they would even think of this. And I know they didn't think of this nightmare here, but allow it to be posted and emailed out and in the state that it was. They want to pull membership changes, sure, go ahead, pull membership changes, but get a survey for membership changes, but this is just downright egregious. Like, a lot of this is horrible. It should not have even been a thought to put ads in the game while you're paying for it. It should not have been a thought to decrease the AFK timers and so on. That's just ridiculous. Anyways, that is all I've got. I want to hear your thoughts and feedback down below in the comments. That would be fantastic. Let's turn this into a discussion. I want to hear what the community thinks about all of this. See if you guys agree with some of my points or disagree with some of my points. That would be fantastic. And I just want to know why. I just want to know what everybody's thinking on this topic. And feel free to subscribe. Gmo out.